Hit record. All right, perfect. Okay, so I am super fired up, you guys, and I hope you have something to write with because we are going to be participating and doing things together a little bit here later on, but I just want to speak from the heart, and I will look at the chat after I pour my heart out because I have some thoughts. So the past, I don't know, few days, I've kind of feel like I've had like this spiritual awakening out of some yucky muck that I think, looking back, I've been kind of wading through for the last couple of years. So this might resonate with some of you. And when I was in the muck, I didn't really know I was in it. It's not until you like climb out of a dark place that you can really look back and be like, oh, that wasn't a good season. So just kind of have your hearts open to this, because I really want us to dig deep tonight. And I really think digging deep is how we rise up. So I want us to think about, how do we want to finish 2021? Okay. But not just in your business. Like, how do you want to finish 2021 in your life? Like, what do you want to do from this very point right now forward? Like, that's kind of what we're going to be talking about tonight. We'll get into like the nitty gritty of it later. But that's kind of what I want your heart and mind to be open to, is thinking outside the box a little bit. Because like I said, I have kind of been stuck in a mental rut for a few years. I've been doing this business for 6, and it's definitely a roller coaster. If you haven't read Entrepreneurial Roller Coaster by Darren Hardy, it's really good. But so I expect there to be ebbs and flows, but this has kind of been a long one, and I am finally ready to take responsibility for what I can control, which is my own leadership and the direction that I want to take this team. And every single one of you are a leader because you chose to be here, and you are leading your own group of people, which is what I'm going to be talking about tonight. So it's time for a shift, and I am speaking about me because that's the only person I can control. I can't control Brianna. I can't control Angie. I can't control anyone on this call. You can only control you. And I hope you walk away from this feeling empowered to actually see that you can take your life in any direction that you want to, literally any direction you want to. So I'm going to read just a few excerpts, but just kind of dive a little deeper. But what I want to focus on is that we want to be leaders of leaders. We don't want to be leaders of followers. So typically when you think of a leader, you think of everyone following along and doing what the leader says, being like, okay, you told me to jump. How high do you want me to jump? But those type of leaders want to be needed. And I don't want to be that kind of leader. I want to be a leader of leaders that want to be like, I want to be exceeded. I don't want to be needed. Like, I want all of you to be leveling up even further above me. That is what gives me chills all over down my legs. Like right now, that lights me up. Like giving you guys the empowerment and tools and confidence. Like, I want to be clapping for you. Like, I want to be in the front row. Like, that's my girl. That's my girl. That is the type of leadership that I want. Because I don't need a bunch of followers. That's not any fun. Not any fun. Okay, so how do we do that? How do we build a culture like that? And for me, it boils down to, what is my why? And I'm going to be reading a couple of sentences from this book, Built to Last, which if you do not have it, get it on Amazon. It's written by a Beachbody coach. It is super skinny. Like, You can read it in a day or two. It is seriously so good. But this page right here speaks to me more than any other page in the book. I've read this book multiple times. But this encompasses my why completely. Okay. So just have a little story time for a few sentences. So I want to leave a legacy. Okay. Leaving a legacy has nothing to do with money. That is an inheritance. An inheritance leaves money in someone else's checking account. Your legacy leaves something in their heart and in their soul. Leaving a legacy is about you becoming the best possible version of yourself and being that person day in and day out. By becoming your best self, you become the type of person who can affect positive change on those you touch. Leaving a legacy is about you being the person who tells them they're good enough, they're worthy, and they can live a big, beautiful, bold dream that they have tucked away inside of their hearts. That brings tears to my eyes. We want to be thinking beyond like, oh, I can just help somebody lose 10 pounds to fit in their favorite jeans. Like, you guys, we have the opportunity of a lifetime sitting in our hands to empower people to dream bigger. It starts with taking care of yourself, because that gets the endorphins, that gets you just taking care of the vessel that God gave you. And that alone can help unlock something in their brain, because they've been feeling stuck. And if they're like, well, heck, if I can do this, the thing that I thought I never could do because someone was cheering me on, maybe I can go back to school and be a nurse like I've always wanted to, even though I have 2 kids at home. Like, that is the kind of change that we can impact. And that is what I want you to wake up every morning thinking, how can I change someone's life today? Because that attitude, when you post with that attitude, when you show up in your stories with that attitude, that is going to attract your people. When you're thinking, okay, I haven't hit Success Club, who can I message today? No, you don't want those vibes. Like, you want to be like, God, who needs this today? What words can you give me? And even if you're not necessarily religious, like Candace, for instance, doesn't consider herself religious, but every morning she essentially says a prayer, and she's like, what do my people need from me today? And she just starts recording. Like, she has no idea what's going to come out of her mouth. She just lets it be led by that spirit, that comes through her. And that is why people sign up with other people. Like, they're like, wow, she's speaking right to me. We need to be leaning into that, trusting your gut, because we all need to be living in our most truest selves. And me being stuck in my own head for so long, and now like crawling out for real, this speaks to me even more, because now that I've been through that muck, I have so many things to say. I have been through the crud and I am crawling out of it. And now I can be like, I can help you. Like, you don't have to be there anymore. Maybe you don't even know you're in the muck, but here's maybe some signs that you are. And here's what helped me get out of it. Like, and it's not even health and fitness related right now, but I'm building that immense trust with those people because I want to leave a legacy. Like, I want to change people's lives, and we have the tools to do that. So just to stretch your brains even a little more, he writes, think of leaders like Nelson Mandela, Mother Teresa, Martin Luther King Jr. When you think about them and the change that they initiated, you think of their way of being in the world, their firmness in their mission and vision, and their unshakable faith. The coaches that build a legacy, that build incredible businesses, that end up doing wonderful things financially for their families, when you look at their social media, they have unshakable faith in what we do and the team that they're building and the women that they're surrounding themselves with. That is the common factor with every single one. So it's about going deep. It's about figuring out, okay, if I don't truly believe in myself, we need to work on this first. Like, you can't lead a team if you haven't led yourself. You have to do the work. It's messy. It's full of tears. It's being really vulnerable. It's finding people in your life, whether it's your friends, your spouse, somebody that you can be really real with and be like, I don't want to live here anymore and I want to be better. So I need to face what I need to face, maybe from childhood. That's probably where I'm going to start digging, finding books on healing your inner child, because I have repeated patterns that I don't like, that are coming from something that happened a long time ago. And I need to figure out what that is so I can move on and be a better person and show other people how to do the same thing. The income is not the real gift. A changed life is. I feel like I need to write that on a post-it note and put it on my mirror, because the income is just an added perk at the end, but the legacy part is changing somebody's life. So I want to give you just 7 mindset sentences, and then we're going to dive into the activity. Okay. And I'll talk slow in case you're wanting to jot these down really fast. If you don't have the book, but if you do, these are from chapter 3. Leaders focus on who they are becoming more than what they are getting. And as a teacher, I know that the connection between your brain happens through your hand. So if you do want to just jot this down, it tends to sink in a little better. Leaders focus on who they are becoming more than what they are getting. Leaders don't just believe they can, they know they will. So that takes it up a notch. I was talking about whether you believe in yourself. Once you get to that point, then you can open that door to be like, no, I know I will. I can just know it. There's almost a peace about it when you reach that point. Leaders don't just show up, they show up when their mind is right. So if you are feeling in the muck and in crud, like excuses and self-limiting beliefs, like that's not a good headspace. That's when you turn off your phone and you figure out, okay, I need to figure out what's going on in here. Like I need some time away. I need to pray. I need to journal. I need to do something, because I can't show up like this for my people. That's not what a leader does. So you prioritize your mindset. Next one, leaders understand they own a big business. Like I am all for people wanting to have a hobby and just this is a little side cash. There is nothing wrong with that. But those of us that are really wanting to grow something big, which means changing a lot of lives, you have to understand that you own a big business. It's not just a tiny little side gig. Like it's a big deal, a real deal. Leaders set one overarching long-term goal. One, just one. And it can be anything, whatever speaks to you the most. Number 6, leaders create momentum and ride it. They do not let that ball stop rolling. They create momentum and ride it. And the last one is leaders give themselves permission to succeed. This one is so huge and so overlooked, I think. I know I personally struggle with it. I'm not afraid of success. I'm afraid of being not relatable. And I talked about this in Arizona at our leadership retreat. This is my biggest business stumbling block, is I feel like if I get too successful, then I'm not relatable to my team anymore. And what I realized after talking to all of them, which they were the leaders of that year, they're like, but we need to see you do it first before we can. And we talked about that, like, no, you don't need to see me first, but it brought it into perspective, like, okay, but you guys want me to, like, you want to see that, you want to almost see like something that's maybe not relatable to be like, oh, if she can do it, I can too. So all of that said, I would like us to have a piece of paper, and I'm going to give you just a barrage of questions. And I want to just, I would love it if people would share after we're done with this, but essentially this is a brain dump of, these are just incredible questions. So I'm going to throw a question every couple of seconds. And if you want to just jot down like a keyword, I'll read through them a couple of times, but I want us to just like pour our hearts out on some pieces of paper. It doesn't have to be lined paper. It can just be like, just throw it on there. And then I'm my hope is that from these thoughts that we jot down, that we can really create each of our own strong visions for what we want to do for the rest of this year, and hopefully, into 2022, 2023. But we're just focusing on these couple of months that we have for the rest of this year, because that's tangible. That's like right in our faces. And this can be beyond your business. Okay, these questions. So I'm gonna just start reading them, and hopefully we can get some share time at the end. All right, so think 5 years into the future, 5 years from now. Who have you become? For instance, what is your ideal self? Maybe write down what your day-to-day activities look like. What do you do when you wake up? What do you do right before bed? What is your relationships? What do they look like? Spouse, kids, friends, your team. 5 years from now. What does your home look like? Is it the same home you're in? Does it look the same? Five years from now, will you be traveling more, less? Who have you become 5 years from now? So you can keep writing on that, but then I want you to draw a line whenever you're done. And then I want you to answer those same questions 20 years from now. So who have you become? Take your age, add 20. Who is that person? What do her day-to-day activities look like? Is she traveling more? What does her house look like? What does it feel like? And then the last chunk that I want you to jot down is think about the generations that are going to follow you. What type of impact do you want to have on those people? What do you want to leave on their hearts? What kind of change do you want to see in the world that your descendants live in? How is what you are doing right now going to affect those generations? So I think one of the most impactful ways to dream even bigger is to hear other people's vision of where they see themselves, and like taking all of the glass ceilings away that we place over ourselves, and realizing that we truly get just one life. And it is a freaking miracle that any of us are even up and walking and breathing on this planet that spins around this hot, fiery sun, and we aren't like burning to a crisp. And I mean, all those things. It is literally a miracle that we are here. And yet so many of us spend our entire existence worrying about what Sally Sue down the street is going to think of our great, audacious, huge goals and dreams, when I feel like our world is literally falling apart and splitting apart because there aren't enough brave people out there just being authentically who they are. I think there's too many people living small and not being courageously kind, and lifting other people up. And I truly believe that this team, this force, we can enact change in the people around us and just have this domino effect of positivity and empowerment and leaning into the hard and just encouraging people to live outside their comfort zones. I think that can create massive, massive change. So that's what I journaled for my legacy. If anyone is willing and open to just share pieces of what they wrote down, I would love it.
You know me, I'm always like, I'll talk. So my like generations to come, so like what I talked about is they'll know that they can do anything and be anything. They will know God and they will live for him. They'll have a life of service and caring for others over themselves. They will love very hard and be examples for our broken world. So.
Anybody else want to share? You don't even have to share the bottom one. You could share just where you see your life 5 years from now, or 20 years, or just any thoughts that come to mind.
So one of the things that I said that I think kind of goes through like each of those different stages. And I think about it like when I think about what I want my students to do, my FFA officers, and then like what I want my kids to know one day is just the value of hard work. And I want to really like lead by example in that. I think it's so easy to say, you need to do this, you need to do that. But then we also have to remember that we have to actually do those things too. And it's really hard to tell people work harder, but then you sit back and you don't work harder. So that's kind of something in the next couple of years I really want to get better at, is working harder. And then maybe the people around me will do that same thing of working harder too. And then my future generations will know the value of working hard and what that really can get them.
I really love that. And I think something I've learned in the last couple of years is that sometimes hard work is, well, most of the time, the hard work is hidden work. And it's not the physical hustle. A lot of the times it's the hard work is up here, and the discipline and taking responsibility for things you shouldn't have said or actions you shouldn't have taken, and learning from it and growing from it and changing. And yeah, I think that needs to be just talked about more often, that hard work is not, I don't know, I don't want to sound pessimistic, but I don't feel like it's around as much. And I saw a decline in my 12 years of teaching of the lack of respect of hard work. And so just talking about that, and I think we all do a great job of, letting our people know, like, if you sign up for this group, like, it is not a quick fix. Like, you are signing up to work. We're showing you the work on our social media and showing the sweat, and it's not easy, but these are the fights that are most worth it. So I love that a lot. Anybody else?
I had a few things written down, but one thing just thinking of is like the building up confidence. You know, we want that in our students too, like Sarah said, but just even in myself, like that was something I really struggled with in high school. And from this, I've grown, but just knowing how much more confidence I will hopefully have as a mother, as a wife down the road in 5 years is just kind of something that I envision a lot and want to be able to have my children have that too, be able to just flourish and have that confidence to do whatever they want to do, and know that their dreams are achievable, and that confidence is going to be a huge thing.
I really love that, Angie. And I think it kind of goes along with how we were talking about like this current generation right now who are our students, like, and the value of hard work. Like, I feel like that confidence comes from seeing your work actually like take place and seeing that like you matter. And I think that's such a big thing right now with everything being so virtual, is that a lot of times you don't see your impacts. And so we really have to like show kids these days that like, you know, you can do something and you can make a difference in not only your life but others people's lives, and that feels good. And like those feelings, like we just have to get back emotion in our lives by showing kids like you can make a difference in not only your life but other people's lives too.
Well, thank you so much for sharing, you guys. I know that a lot of people on this call might be putting kids to bed, and so they can't unmute their cameras and speak. But I guess I want to end with this vision that I have for this team. Has less and less to do with my rank and all of those accolades, those shiny distractions, which I think veered me off course. Because when it comes down to the heart of it, when I feel most excited about growing this team, it has everything to do with impact. And so I am just wanting to lead in that way, which doesn't mean you guys have to, but I just wanted to basically share my intentions with you that I genuinely want to be your biggest cheerleader, your biggest support, your biggest resource, the girl you bounce your ideas off of, the one you're reaching out to when you're like, okay, I'm just really having a hard day. Can you like help pull me out of the gross muck? Because I've been there, and we all need somebody that's going to always be cheering for you. And I hope there's more than me in your life, but this business fills my heart. You all fill my heart. I was going to announce officially the leader retreat, but I'm still trying to hammer down dates and find a space that is open on the dates that I want, because every time I change the dates, then different Airbnbs that I have saved pop in and pop out. And so I want to find the best one, but just know that that information is coming, because I want to lean in and be with the leaders who are wanting to lead other leaders. That is everything to me. So I love you all. I hope you really think about you and your own team that you are growing, because we are all building this together. You have that ownership and that immense responsibility of following what is inside of your heart, that nudge that you have. It's not a responsibility to host your own team calls and check off these boxes. It's a responsibility to get quiet and to listen to, okay, what is my calling? Like, what should I be doing with this business? What direction do I take it? And if you are all listening to that call, that to me feels like success at this point. That's where I'm crawling out of my hole into this new version of me almost. But it feels so right. It doesn't feel forced. And that's honestly what I want for each and every one of you, is to get into that space where you're like, yes, this feels like what I'm supposed to be doing. So do the hard work. Again, I'm preaching that this is not a quick fix. It is not easy. But if you are working on this, anything that you dream is completely possible. And I'm crawling out of the muck too, right with you. I'm not saying I'm there. But it's amazing to do it alongside all of you. So thank you for coming, listening to my heart ramble before I get too choked up to talk anymore. I think we will sign off. I love you. We'll see you later.